It's turkey time once again, and we are here with another Thanksgiving movie review. Tonight, I am reviewing a picture that I've been meaning to watch and review ever since I started this channel. So I think 7 years ago, I saw this movie like on IMDb or something, and I thought, man, that's perfect for Thanksgiving time. But I always knew in the back of my mind that this movie would be, well, not so great. Tonight's movie review for Thanksgiving is Captain John Smith and Pocahontas. It came out in 1953. And just a heads up for you all, you can watch this movie right now on Paramount Plus. This is in no way a plug for them, but that's how I watched it, in semi-decent quality, probably the best quality you'll find online. Someone also posted it on YouTube. Not the best quality, but if you really want to watch this movie and you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube as well. So this movie was directed by a guy named Lew Landers. It stars a cast that I haven't seen any of these people. I don't believe I've seen any of them in, except for Hale Jr. But it stars Anthony Dexter, who plays Captain John Smith. It also stars Jody Lawrance, who plays Pocahontas. And right away, we'll get the elephant out of the room. Yes, Pocahontas is played by a white woman. This was back in the time before Hollywood got caught up with having actual Native Americans play Indians or natives in films. And it's a shame. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely some native actors that you can see in this movie, but I'm talking about the main roles. Usually were taken by white people. But Jody, it's just a different time. We've talked about that when Donna Reed played Sacagawea in The Far Horizons last Thanksgiving. So if you want to hear my opinion on all that stuff, you can go watch that review. But Robert Clark plays John Rolfe, and also some side character named Fleming was played by Alan Hale Jr., of course, the son of Alan Hale, and famously known for playing the skipper in Gilligan's Island. I would classify this as a historical action adventure film. Of course, it has little bits of romance in it. Honestly, John Smith was a lot meaner to Pocahontas in this film than, for instance, the Disney version. I wasn't expecting John Smith to be kind of rude and a brute to poor Pocahontas. So obviously this takes place in the best Thanksgiving setting there is. It takes place in the 1600s, 1607, when Jamestown was being first settled, established in the New World for Europe. The first permanent English settlement created by the Virginia Company in the name of King James the First. So there's your short little history paragraph. It's funny to think how we can sum up just months or years of struggles of people into a few sentences. Lots of death and plague and just battles and wars, and there I just summarized it like that. And it's told in an interesting way. It's told in John Smith's it's sort of in the future, so it's a flashback film where he's telling the story to King James. So you can automatically assume, okay, I guess John Smith is going to survive whatever story he's going to tell. So I'll start out by saying that this movie is so bad. It's so bad that it's entertaining. And I think you can only watch this movie at Thanksgiving time. Otherwise, it'll be awful. Just watch it at Thanksgiving time. You'll appreciate it. It's so bad. It's entertaining. I don't know if I'll probably won't ever see this again, to be honest, but I enjoyed it. I recommend you all to watch it. Notice I didn't say it's so bad it's good, because it's not good, but it's entertaining. You'll definitely get a lot of good laughs also while watching this. So it starts out where we can see John Smith is trying to establish this settlement in the New World, but they're being bombarded with attacks from the Powhatan Indians who are there. And of course, they make the Indians look like the bad guys in this. When really, reality, I was sort of cheering for them, because we all know what happens in the end is we take their land, but that's beside the point. And also, I just didn't like John Smith very much. I much preferred Pocahontas. So he's having a hard time establishing Jamestown. They're running out of food. So then John Smith goes on a little adventure. He wanders off to look for food or to talk to the chief of the Powhatan Indians. And he goes off with Allen Hale Jr. and with John Rolfe. And they come across Pocahontas, and she's, of course, very pretty with her braids. Now, another thing is, I don't know how historically accurate the wardrobes are for the Native Americans in this. In fact, I think a lot of their wardrobe in this looks like Plains Indians, especially the big feather headwear that they were wearing. The chiefs, for example, I don't think that was in Virginia in the 1600s. So this isn't very historically accurate. So he stumbles across Pocahontas, and the chief is going to kill him. He tries to pose as a white god to the Indians, and at first it works because he has a metal armor on, and the arrows don't do anything to it. But the chief is smarter than that, and he knows that he's just a normal white man, and he's going to burn him at the stake, or he's going to kill him somehow. And then Pocahontas, the famous paintings and drawings, and I think it's even in the Disney movie, she runs over and she gets on top of John Smith and says, don't kill him, because it's romantic. She loves him. So she saves his life, and then he has to sort of prove himself to them. And because she saves his life, she has to marry him according to the Powhatan traditions. So they get married, and then she goes back with John Smith to Jamestown, the settlement, and she helps. And this is, what we all learned in elementary school, or even preschool, very fond memories. I think we all, when we think of Thanksgiving, we think of drawing the turkey with our hands, and those are such fond memories. Now I'm in my 30s, and I think you all have fond memories of your childhood Thanksgivings as well. But like when you first learn about the Indians and the new colonizers from England working together, harvesting, she teaches them how to plant corn and squash and other different types of food. Really helps them. She has medicines for them, and I think I love that part of the movie the most, because it just reminded me of the great things that Pocahontas did. She was actually a really remarkable woman. So all things are good in the settlement at this point, except there's this stupid side story where there's like a small group of men who are trying to basically mutiny from John Smith. They hate John Smith. They hate how he runs things. They just want to go back to England and take gold with them from Virginia. It's so pointless. I wish they had left it out. But though that small group of people are trying to stir problems between John Smith and the Powhatan Indians and trying to create war again. And there's also the story of, does Pocahontas love John Smith or does she love John Rolfe? But one of the main things I want to tell you all about is how I think that, for the 1950s, when it's sort of this theme that women were treated horribly in the 50s, Stepford housewives, 1950s wives, women or whatever. Well, I think Pocahontas was given a lot of credit in this movie. She was really strong in it. Whenever John Smith was kind of mean and rude to her, she stood up for herself, and she was even gonna go back to her tribe, go back to her dad, the way he was treating her like chattel, like property. Of course, she falls for the rude John Smith. I did not really care for Anthony Dexter. His acting was pretty bad in this. But she falls for him, they kiss, and I guess they love each other. So another funny thing about there's so many laughs in this movie. For instance, count the times you see John Smith shirtless in this. It's like, I don't know why they always try to get Dexter without a shirt in this film. The action scenes were not the best choreographed. A lot of them were really funny. There were random moments of extreme amounts of blood, like they'd get shot in the face with a bow and arrow or something, and blood would be everywhere. Um, and the actual set where this was, the little Jamestown and outside, it wasn't terrible. The fortress itself wasn't bad. The other funny thing is how brown they painted some of the white actors who played Indians. It was really funny how just covered in dark brown some of them, especially Pocahontas' brother. He's a white guy, but they made him so brown, and it's silly. So yeah, I really like how they portrayed Pocahontas. Jody Lawrence did a good job at playing her, despite not being a real Native American woman. And there were, of course, hints of her being with John Rolfe. In fact, towards the end of the film, or at the end, John Smith admits, now Pocahontas, she's happy with John Rolfe. They've married, and I'm going to move on to more adventures. So it kind of hints at Disney's Pocahontas 2, where John Rolfe is in that and brings Pocahontas back to England, which is a true story. In fact, I have to say, after watching this movie, it just makes me want to watch the Disney movies again. In fact, I have them on VHS, and I'll probably watch them in the coming days for this Thanksgiving. But also note that that final that final battle scene between John Smith and his rival Indian, and of course he's shirtless, and they have a battle to the death, and it's you'll get some good laughs at how funny and cheesy it is. This definitely feels like a TV movie. This is the type of movie that you'd wake up on a Saturday morning, you'd turn on your tube TV, and you'd hear cowboys and Indians, or in this case settlers and Indians, battling, duking it out. Background noise sort of, but it's a great Saturday morning film to watch. I think you should all watch this Thanksgiving morning. I have to rate this film. I do rate my Thanksgiving movies, and I'm gonna rate this movie a 2 out of 4. I could go lower than 2, but just for the amounts of times I laughed, I enjoyed it for Thanksgiving. Don't ever watch this at a different time of year, but I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 4. So let me know what you all think of this Thanksgiving flick. This will be the only Thanksgiving movie review I do this year. Hopefully I can do more next year. I'm sort of running out of ideas, but I'm sure there's tons of frontier and settling films we can do for next Thanksgiving. But guys, Christmas is coming up, and please send me some recommendations for classic Christmas movies to watch, because I've watched quite a bit of them. So send recommendations of that. Like I said, this film was sort of like The Far Horizons with Donna Reed as Sacagawea and Charlton Heston, but that movie's way better. That movie's a real movie. This movie's sort of funny TV movie. It's a B movie, but definitely worth watching for Thanksgiving. Have a Thanksgiving to you all with your families. Eat a lot of good turkey and good food, and I look forward to many more years with you all. I'm thankful for you all being such great subscribers to me, and I hope in the coming years we can continue to watch and enjoy discussing these films together.